Well, Black History Month, that is this month, February, it is a time to honor, remember, and celebrate the many generations of Black Americans whose lives and contributions helped to shape this nation. As the U.S. approaches its 250th anniversary and the 50th anniversary of Black History Month's official recognition, new tools are helping families to reconnect with their roots. Nicka Sewell-Smith is the senior story producer at Ancestry and a professional genealogist with more than 20 years of experience, including researching the lives of enslaved people. We say welcome and good morning to you, Nika. Good to have you on.
Thanks for having me. Good morning.
You bet. First of all, the idea that you're a genealogist has me. When I read this last night, I thought that is the coolest thing to do. That would be, if not this, that would have been something I would do because it's so fascinating. I love history and I love the detective work. So it just must be fascinating. I'm sure you love what you do, and that's a good thing, obviously. Go ahead. I'm
Absolutely.
sorry.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. That's how I got into genealogy. I went to college for journalism, and I actually think that's what makes me a good researcher is trying to find the angle of history or a person's story that no one is particularly thinking about.
I love it. See, so we have a similar background. So that's my next step. I got to get it into genealogy at this point. And many have said that researching Black family history can feel overwhelming because of the gaps in historical records, obviously. What would you tell somebody thinking about starting their family research at this point, Nika?
Well, the first thing I would do is give them permission to do it. Some people feel like they need to be knighted, like someone needs to come and tell them, oh, you are, oh, wise one bestowed the ability to look for your family history. And pretty much anyone can have the opportunity to do that. It really starts with what you know and what you remember about your family. Many of us grow up going to family reunions every year or every 2 years. That's something that I grew up with in my family, where we're around the elders, we're hearing people tell stories about where our family was from. In particular, people in New Jersey likely have ties to North Carolina, South Carolina, or even Virginia. And, maybe it's the folks who migrated up from those areas, or maybe it's your sojourns back to those places during the summer to visit family. All of that, all of those stories, all of those memories, all of those people have crucial facts that can help you build out your family tree. And the process really is simple. Start with you, start with what you know, talk to your family members, look through your homes, look for things that are rich full of information, such as funeral programs, obituaries, anything from deeds to wills, probates, all sorts of stuff can help you guide the process. And then you come to us, you come to Ancestry, start building out your tree for free and start looking through historical records. It's so incredible when you find someone that you knew in a historical record documented, like something like the 1950 census. That's the most recent one we have available to us. So the first people I went to look for on that were my parents, and it was so awesome to see them as kids living in Chicago.
Wow, that's very cool. And I mean, I know that like some friends of mine over the last 10 years have sat down, we all have one of these now. And you sit down, you set it up on a shelf, you let it roll, and they did interviews with grandma and mom and dad and save that. Make sure you save it on the cloud, make sure you save it somewhere in a hard drive and pass that down to the kids because now not only will they have the stories, right? But they'll have the pictures and hear the voices of grandma and grandpa and mom and dad and all those great voices that when they pass on, you're going to want to know, remember what they sounded like. Dad had that funny laugh, and you're going to want those kids and grandkids and great grandkids to hear that. And it's so special that we have that capability now. So now, in the event that we have somebody who's, as you said, feels knighted, right, to go ahead and do the research, what happens when they're confronted with challenges, whether it be the gap or whatever? What do you recommend? Should they just keep digging? Where should they go to look for more information?
Absolutely. I think really what help support you in coming to Ancestry are just the tools, the suggestions that we give you as you're going along the way. Whether it's when you're building your tree out, it might be something like suggesting a potential ancestor for you, or things like hints, where we look at the name and the date and the location that a particular person was in, and we give you suggestions on records that connect back to those individuals. So it could be anything from birth, marriage, and death to I've seen everything from like Major League Baseball questionnaires, for the media, passport applications, all of those things. There's all these little nuggets and clues there. And I usually, most people, the thing that gets them hung up is like spelling of names and the fact that, they're like, I think this is the right family, but I'm not sure because we spell our last name Brown without an E. And on this record, it has an E. You're just really looking for confirmation that you have the right people. Are the family members within that family group the same? Are the ages approximately the same? You're also looking for additional resources, really kind of rounding out what it makes up the records of where you're living. So, for instance, or where you're researching. So, it could be in a state like Virginia, there are births, even for enslaved people that are documented there. You can even look at death certificates. Those will give you the names of parents. So, if you're stuck and you can't quite figure out exactly what to do, usually 9 times out of 10, your next step or your clue for your next step is hiding in a record that you might not have reviewed all the way.
Gotcha. And by the way, just for the record, I am an Ancestry customer. There we go. And so I have, there you are. That's my tree, and it shows my genetic background and everything. And they do have a misspell in my grandfather's last name, my maternal grandfather's last name. And I submitted, and I haven't gotten the update yet. So we'll make sure that's clarified. But I'm glad you talked about that, because nip it in the bud, right? And have it corrected so the future generations know the deal. We're down to the last
Right.
minute. I just want you to tell a specific story, if you can, in this short amount of time, about local story that you have, the stories of us.
Yes, this is our amazing campaign that we launched to celebrate America 250, where we're telling the stories of everyday Americans, some that you may know and some you may not. And there's an incredible story right there in the community of a Black woman named Henrietta Bowers DeTert, who operated a mortuary, and she used that mortuary as a way to ferry people through the Underground Railroad. And this is an incredible history that I had the opportunity to research, looking at her billing for her services. She's buried in Eden Cemetery, and it's such an incredible and remarkable story that people might be walking around and not realizing that they might be passing through areas that she may have been connected to. And so you'll learn about her and so many other people across the country throughout this year with the Stories of Us campaign. And you can find out more looking at records, photos, and more at ancestry.com/stories of us.
Well, like I said, I'm a client. I love it myself. I've been for many years. Professional genealogist, senior story producer at Ancestry, Nicka Sewell-Smith. Please come back. And thank you for coming on this morning.
Thanks so much for having me.